Were you aware of the situation regarding the intimidation of some councillors, and what action would you take to stop this kind of intimidation, which has been brought to our attention by a number of different people? And you can be open. I mean,
no, I would be. I haven't been directly involved or directly seen any bullying or intimidation as such. I've heard, and people have said, oh well, you know, they tried to coerce me into this or they tried to coerce me into that. But I haven't seen any of it. I mean, I have seen councillors try to browbeat a planning committee pre-meeting, for instance. But, you know, I mean, well, we're all grown-ups and we're all in politics. So, you know, if we're intimidated, it's a bit sad in some ways, but I still think that there are people who do feel that they have been intimidated.
That's right, yeah, they do.
You know, but we have a good open group structure, a good strong group structure, and there is plenty of opportunity there for people to raise things, and people do, and you know, when you're first a councillor, you're a bit wary about opening your mouth and getting shot down. But once you've been there for a little while, you know, you do get your confidence, and you do, you know, fight your corner, really. And at the end of the day, bullies have lost the argument, haven't they? Actually, you know, when people start bullying, they've actually lost the argument, haven't they? Because if they do a good enough argument, they wouldn't need to.
No, but I mean, it's a different question, I suppose, isn't it?
It should be unnecessary, and within our group, it should be unnecessary.
Yeah.
Why is it happening then?
Sadly, again, I have the advantage, if you like, of having been there for nearly 12 years, and for having served the first 4 years and then the second 4 years in a position where the group had no option but to be absolutely solid, absolutely together, and absolutely unified on everything that it did. Because otherwise we were outvoted, because we were in a balanced or a minority situation. One of the disadvantages, if you like, of having a strong majority situation is that you get a bit of an opposition within yourself, and actually the most difficult opposition to tackle is the one that comes from exactly where it shouldn't come from. And we shouldn't be even having to consider fighting our colleagues, should we? Or we shouldn't be having to consider the unity within that. It should be a given. Sadly, there are one or two people. There is a faction within the group which I think have their own agenda and their own ambitions to a certain extent, and some of the activity, some of press releasing, some of stories going out, some of the way that people have worked within their wards and things like that has caused difficulty and has caused a lot of unnecessary division, I think is the true answer.
So you consider they know the issue very well, but are choosing to follow their own agendas?
I think
not a case of, well, we didn't understand it, had it been explained better?
No, I don't think it's that case at all. I think for when I was first a councillor, you know, you go in and you think you can change the world, don't you? Sadly, it all moves a bit slower than that, really. And I think for 2 or maybe 2.5 years or whatever it is time, you think that people should be actually thinking, you know, and starting to work more cohesively as a part of a group. You think you try to help people, you try to advise people, you try to say that quick, you know, it could be better handled, you know, or whatever, and you hope that people catch on. Really, I think there are 1 or 2 people who found it very difficult.
So what action should be taken then to sort this out?
Well, we've got all the structures there. We've got everything there. At the end of the day, people do have to, they do have to drink the wine, don't they? You can take Oster water so often, but you can't make it drink. And at the end of the day, the people who are finding it very difficult to not operate as opposition, if you like, they have to realise it for themselves.
So you don't think any action should be taken?
If it gets bad enough, yeah.
Okay.
We have had people leave the group.
Yeah.
One person left the group over an issue which they had a very fundamental disagreement about. Sadly, because the guy had a lot to offer, I think,
But he chose that, didn't he?
But he chose that, yeah.
But I just wonder...
Well, there is a disciplinary procedure, and when we were a far tighter group with a lesser majority, we never ever had to open the rule book.
Right.
No.
It's an interesting observation, is that?
You never had to open the rule book, but and you don't want to, because the well doesn't operate on rules.